Today, we're going to be ranking teams based on position groups to find out who has the best overall team in each division. And then once we're done, we're going to take those 8 teams plus 2 wildcard teams and figure out which team has the overall best position group in the NFL. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoy, and let's jump right into the tier list. Up first, of course, we have the quarterback position. So we've got Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson, and Aaron Rodgers. The Browns, I'm going to say, is Joe Flacco. Maybe it's Deshaun Watson. Regardless, it's not going to matter for these rankings. I think this ranking, the quarterback position, is clear, is cut, is day. It's obviously Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the AFC North. That's not a question. And then you also have Joe Burrow, who is easily the second best quarterback in the AFC North. And then there is a huge, steep, catastrophic, mountain-sized Everest drop-off from Joe Burrow to Aaron Rodgers, who's the third best quarterback in the AFC North. And then in last place is any Browns quarterback. Shador, Watson, Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett. It doesn't matter. All of those quarterbacks are worse than those 3. I think quarterback position, simple as day. If you disagree with this, you're wrong. Moving on to the running back position for the AFC North, I think this one is also pretty simple. Starting off, the best running back in the AFC North has to be Derrick Henry. Had an historic season last year, and it cannot be forgotten. And then the second best running back in this division, in my humble opinion, is Chase Brown. Right now, we are off to the exact same ranking as the quarterback group. But moving on, we've got the Pittsburgh running back versus the Browns running back. Who has the better running back room? The Pittsburgh Steelers or the Cleveland Browns? Well, let's take a look at each team's depth chart here to see who their running backs actually are. So Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, and Kenneth Gainwell, are those 3 running backs better or worse than Jerome Ford, Quinshon Judkins, and Dylan Sampson? I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson do not move me as much as Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, and Jerome Ford do. So with that being said, I think the Browns have the third best running back group or room in the AFC North, and then the Steelers are going to be last. I know Caleb Johnson's a rookie, so are Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, but I think both of them could be better than Caleb Johnson. And then you also have Jerome Ford, who's arguably, he may be a little bit worse than Jalen Warren. Moving on to the wide receiver group, is the AFC North just the easiest team or division to rank in the league? I've done 2 other ones of this, at the AFC East and the AFC West, so go check those out. But it hasn't been even just 3 in. Neither of those were this easy. This is much, much easier than those 2 divisions. Easily, I keep saying easy, but the Bengals obviously have the best wide receiver group in the division. With Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they arguably have the best wide receiver group in the entire NFL. Looking at it now, here's where the debate comes in. Do you take DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin and Robert Woods, or are you taking Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, or are you taking Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman? I'm definitely going to take Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and DeAndre Hopkins. I think I'd just rather have that receiver room over Pittsburgh, who I am going to put in third. I think DK Metcalf is good enough to put them over the Browns wide receiver room, who arguably have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the entire NFL. Moving on to the tight end position. Who has the best tight end in the AFC North? I do not think the Baltimore Ravens have the best tight end anymore. I think David Njoku and Harold Fannin Jr. are some dogs. Those 2 beat out what the Baltimore Ravens have for tight end, in my opinion. I think David Njoku's better than Likely, and I think he's better than Mark Andrews at this point in his career. And I did put the Ravens first on accident, so let me fix that. The Ravens would be second, though. I think it's a close second. I think Njoku is just slightly better. I want to see him play again with Joe Flacco. Everyone's going to remember how good David Njoku is. And then it's really between Mike Gesicki and Pat Freiermuth. I think Pat Freiermuth is better than Mike Gesicki, putting the Bengals there in last place. Finally, some shakeup. The Browns got first and the Bengals got last. Something new to see here. Also, I did not explain it in this video, but the way the point system is going to work here, if you're in first place, so Ravens, Bengals, Browns, they all got 4 points for being in first. If you're in second, you get 3. Third, you get 2. Last, you get 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of this will be the team that wins the division, to decide who the best team is. So then we've got the offensive line. I can't lie, I'm going to have to look at the depth chart for these. Let's look. Steelers O-line, they got Broderick Jones, Isaiah Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fontenot. And then they also have Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Daniel Faala'i, Oh, okay. The Ravens O-line is kind of good. It's gotten better. The Bengals, Orlando Brown, Cordell Volson, Ted Karras, Cody Ford. Cody Ford starting. And then the Browns have DeJuan Jones, Joel Bonito. These O-lines are all kind of mid. The Browns O-line on paper might be the best, but we saw how they were last year. They were not great. Honestly, after looking at that, I think it's got to be Ravens O-line first, I think. Then we're going to give the Steelers O-line second, Browns O-line third, and then the Bengals offensive line in last place. Give Joe Burrow some help aside from his wide receiver. Is like, dang. Give him just one good offensive lineman for once in his career, please. Cincinnati. All right, guys, water break. My throat's getting a little dry. Okay, moving on to the secondary. Okay, so that includes cornerbacks and safeties. Let's go back to these depth charts. Let's see what everyone's working with. We know the Steelers are working with Darius Slay. They've got Deshaun Elliott, Juwan Thornhill, Joey Porter, and Jalen Ramsey. They have a loaded secondary. And then the Ravens also have a loaded secondary with Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander, Malachi Starks, Kyle Hamilton, and Nate Wiggins. That's going to be so hard to pick between. The Bengals, okay, do we even need to look at the Bengals secondary? I don't even want to look at it. We're just going to move on from there. And then the Browns have some dogs, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Martin Emerson Jr. They have some underrated guys, Greg Newsome. This is tough. The secondaries for the AFC North are the hardest to pick who has the best one. Do the Ravens or the Steelers have the best secondary in the AFC North? Are you taking Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, and Malachi Starks? Or are you taking the Steelers in Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter, Darius Slay, and Deshaun Elliott? There's a lot of good pieces there, but I think the Ravens just barely edge them out because their safeties are better. Their safeties are better. Kyle Hamilton is arguably the best safety in the NFL. You've got Marlon Humphrey, who's still top 10 in the league. Nate Wiggins is solid. And then they also got Jair Alexander, who is also top 10. Jalen Ramsey is still top 10, but Darius Slay is not top 10. Joey Porter's top 10. But I think I'd rather have Nate Wiggins than Darius Slay anyways. And then the safeties for the Ravens are just better than Pittsburgh's. But Pittsburgh is a close second there with that secondary. And then I think the Browns easily have to be third. And the Bengals are going to be last once again. 3 last places in a row for the Cincinnati Bengals. Not looking good for their position groups right now. Maybe their ownership will see this and decide, hey, our team needs some help. Help Joe Burrow out. Then we've got the front seven. Who has the best front seven in the AFC North? Well, the Bengals have Trey Hendrickson still, technically. Their first-round pick, Shamar Stewart. I don't think he's signed yet either. Do I count them in this? I'm going to assume that they're going to be playing for the Bengals next year, so I will. Pittsburgh's got Cam Hayward. They got a bunch of dogs. To be accurate here, they got TJ Watt, Derek Harmon. They got Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith. Like, they have a ton of guys in that front seven who are good. TJ Watt's amazing. The Ravens, though, also have a lot of solid players. And then you've got the Bengals, who we just went over, don't really have like a crazy one, but Logan Wilson, Demetrius Knight, BJ Hill, like all these guys could be good. And then the Browns have Myles Garrett, Malik Collins, Mason Graham, Carson. They have a lot of young guys, so that's going to be the issue for them. That's going to be what limits them, I think, personally. But when you have Myles Garrett and TJ Watt in this division, does that carry their front seven enough to be better than maybe a more complete front seven like the Baltimore Ravens have? Well, I think the Steelers easily have the best front seven in the AFC North. I'll give it to them. Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, both their inside linebackers are very good. So I think that is completely fair. And then it's really deciding between the Ravens and the Browns. I'm honestly going to take the front seven that has Myles Garrett, so I will give it to the Browns there to be in second. Then I'll put the Ravens in third. And then to me, the Bengals are just too young to have them higher than any of these players, or to have them higher than any of these teams. All their guys are kind of either first year or just not very good. We need a lot more guys. Sorry, what am I saying? The Browns are a lot of young guys. The Bengals just have nobody on their defense. Their defense needs a lot of help. It's going to be not great next year. I'm sorry, Bengals fans, when you see this and see 4 in a row. And I'm not done yet. We might hit 5. The final piece of this ranking is head coaches. Who has the best head coach in the AFC North? I don't think it's Mike Tomlin. I don't think it's Harbaugh. I think it's Kevin Stefanski. I think Kevin Stefanski is the best head coach in the AFC North. In second, it's got to be Jim Harbaugh. Third's going to be Mike Tomlin. And then last is Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor should be fired. They need a new head coach. I think they need a new system on defense and on offense. I would clean house for the coaching staff if I was the Bengals. But this is my final position group ranking. So let me crack down on the math and I'll let you know the results shortly. The results are in last place with 15 points are going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, who many have as Super Bowl contenders. But according to the position tier list, they are the worst team in the AFC North. Then tied for third and second place are the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers, both with 19 points. And in first place, drumroll please, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the AFC North. So they're moving on to the final 10. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Go check out the AFC West and AFC East version if you want to see who the best team in that division was, and if any of those teams are contending for the wild card. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Comment down below what you agree with, disagree with, and until next time, y'all, peace out.